Association, but he also owns the hotel that's right next to the Redmond House, that motel. And I asked him if he'd be interested in discussing the Redmond House with me, and he said, that's a big headache and another matter, and let's set up a luncheon. So I have a pending luncheon with somebody who's one of the players, and possibly something will come loose out of that meeting, and I'll be able to report to us at the next quarterly meeting. But I'm trying to keep my eye on it, and it appeared they don't want to talk about it at the Historical Association. It's a black eye to them too. So a very difficult conundrum we all face.
And I have reached out to the owner in the past regarding that we are moving forward with, which we've discussed with the commission in the past, with an incentive-based approach for historic rehabilitation, where we would allow additional uses on the property that aren't otherwise allowed in the zone district, as a way to possibly provide a economically viable opportunity for reuse on the site. So I have reached out to the owner about that as well. And he didn't really seem to respond to that, but hoping that it may be of some value. So
I have a question. Do we think or believe that anyone will ever come up with a plan to restore that building? Or are we all just waiting for it to suffer the same fate as the sea breeze?
That's a good question, because they've been trying to get support and turn it around for decades.
Yeah. And, well, I don't know if Watsonville cares, but I know the rest of the county doesn't.
Well, I can't speak for Watsonville. I can only speak for the Watsonville representative on the commission, and he cares. I happen to know the guy, and he cares. But honestly, it was like when I mentioned Redmond House at the Historical Association, I kind of shut down the room. Nobody wanted to respond to my question at all. It's just, as I say, I think everybody feels the pain and the black eye, but I'm not hearing of any possible solutions from down here.
Well, it might be helpful for us, because I don't know how many years our commission has been interested or attempting to find out about the fate of the building. But just to know what the history of the preservation effort might be helpful to us, to understanding what's happening, because it isn't just that there have been various attempts. It was a very bitter fight over that building, and the effort to save it, and the organization that existed, and the political fighting that went on. And and I think it ended up with Watsonville just going, I'm out of here.
It sounds, if I'm going to explore this further, it sounds like perhaps the resources might be through the Pajaronian and historical articles that would be descriptors of the activities. And I think maybe I'll give a call this week to the Pajaronian and start to look into this from the angle of documenting the historical accomplishments that were done to preserve it over time. Are you suggesting that, Carolyn?
Well, you can actually search the Pajaronian online.
Yeah.
To the library.
Right.
Redmond House or Hirahara House, and it'll all come up.
Right.
Yeah. It's but I think it's helpful to understand some of the bitterness that exists around the efforts to try and save it. And it's, in a way, it's why we keep butting our heads against this invisible wall. Not that it'll change, but understanding it helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, things are very segmented in South County. And another example, and I almost hesitate to even name this, is you'd think that there would be unity in South County regarding the rail and the trail. And there is absolutely no unity whatsoever. There's every which opinion. It's very surprising. So it's a very mixed situation down here. And I'll just try to get clear facts and some updates if I can. But let's recognize, I think this is the biggest headache that our commission faces in the county.
I think it would be good to have that history, a chronological and more history, not only for those of us who were not involved or not here way back when this first started, but also going forward as new members come on in this subject, this property, historic structure is still there, that they have this reference.
And Commissioner Woods has his hand raised as well.
So
that segues perfectly into what my question was is that as a new commissioner, I'm not asking to be educated about everything that went on with that property, but I think that when a mission has failed, that what we can salvage from that is to understand going forward what we do in the future. And that can be extremely helpful to know the steps. So if, just taking a wild shot, if one of the issues happens to be funding, for example, then you would know in the future that if you were to take on a project like this, just how you would relate to the funding and what that mechanism would be and what was available to take on a project like this. So I do not know the history. I'm not asking to be told that right now in the interest of time, but as a new commissioner coming in, I could see the advantage of having a document that say, here's a roadmap of what happens when things don't align well and you don't have a cohesive understanding of what you're doing with this particular project. Here are the pitfalls. Here's what you want to actually avoid in the future.
So Barry, are you willing to work on something like that?
I'm willing to investigate the available information. Okay, and I will report back on the available information. I am not committing to writing a report at this time because I don't know what's possible to write, but I will report back on, I will give you a report back on what I can discover about the historic timeline of preservation efforts on the building.
Okay.
Yep.
Barry, you don't want to get too deeply. Don't let it be a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Thanks, Carol. Yeah.
It will be. And we did add something to the inventory, and I can't remember the woman's name. Reader, a barn in Corralitos. We added it to the inventory last year, 2 years ago. Her name is Reader. I can't think of her first name. Anyway, she was very, very, very involved in the Redmond House and trying to save it. And she would be a great person to talk to. And,
well, perhaps you can pass her contact information on to me.
Well, I don't have it.
See.
If I did, I'd remember her first name.
It's
I know Annie has it. So
yeah,
got it.
I can pass that on to you, Barry.
Thank you.
So
Annie.
Barry, why don't you just let Annie know when you're ready to make that report? Don't push yourself and try to make it like for October. If you want to, do it at one of the meetings early next year, that'll be fine.
Thank you. I'll just, I'll get to it. And depending on the pace, depending on if I'm lucky, that we'll see. I will get back to the commission with an update on this as possible.
Okay, sounds good. And now we have a public comment.
Yes, we do. And if you press *6, you can unmute yourself to provide a comment right now. Great.
Hello, this is Becky Steinbrunner. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up and keeping this project alive. I have been very interested in trying to restore this building for a long time, and this brings real merit to your commission pushing forward some demolition by neglect ordinances in this county to give the county some ability to require property owners, such in this case, to at least preserve and protect the roof with a tarp. You know, this owner is doing nothing, and it's really difficult and painful to watch. I keep worrying that the barn will be burned down or knocked down, because that's a real important piece of the story of that property. The name of the woman who was very involved is Corel Reeder. She and I, with a couple of other like-minded people, have met in the past to try to work with Luis Alejo. We met with Jimmy Panetta, trying to get them on board to help us, and we got nowhere because they got nowhere with the property owner. The property owner did not respond to a letter that Congressman Panetta sent to him. So what can we do to convince this property owner to do something rather than just let it fall to neglect? And I believe that has to come from a demolition by neglect ordinance or some kind of financial incentive to preserve it, which could be the Mills Act or something like that. I met with Luis Alejo, and we put forward the model of the Emma Prush Farm Park that is in San Jose, a great example of preserving a historic, beautiful structure and using it for many different things. I met with Barbara Mason with the county, I forget the name of it, but it's to encourage businesses in the county. And she had also reached out to the property owner and suggested that they could use the building for events, such as weddings, which are very lucrative. So she got nowhere. This is a conundrum, and it's painful. And it's painful for the Asian community. I have talked with some of the Hirahara family, and they don't even want to talk about it because it is so painful for them to see that beautiful home and all that it represented to them, and all of the families coming back from the relocation camps that got their toehold there again. And this county is not doing anything to honor that. What can we do? So I would like to help you, Commissioner Perlman, in any way that I can that you're comfortable in allowing, but Corel Reeder will be a real resource for you. The problem that happened, as I understand it, with the former group trying to preserve
And
it
you
was
have
murky
30 seconds.
finance, was murky bookkeeping, not a transparency at all, and that made everything fall apart. I propose that, especially in this time, that we work with the Community Foundation to build a partnership with the Asian community, with the farmers in the area, and support rebuilding this golden story here of the public coming together, paying the taxes, so the Hirahara family kept their property. And what that meant for so many Asian families coming back from internment. I would like to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Becky, and I appreciate your willingness to help. And if I see anything where I think that you may be able to contribute to it, I will definitely contact you.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Certainly.
Good. Thanks. Because things don't stick in my head at this point. But one thing that our new member might not know is this building is on the National Register of Historic Places. That's the highest ranking that can be given to a building. It's on the National Register, and we can't stop its deterioration because of the history of the conflict. And I remember the news story when the current owner bought the property, and they said, are you going to save the building? Oh yeah, we really want to save it. So the stories it's shifted to someone who's, oh yeah, I want to save it, and it's gone to not responding at all. And there's nothing we can really do. It's a sad situation, and the conflict goes into the Japanese American community because, from what I've heard, they want nothing to do with the building. Some do, but a lot don't, because it's a painful memory. It's coming back after being in an internment camp, and you're living in somebody's barn, trying to get your life working again. And I think for a lot of people, they just want to move on from there. And so the Redmond House it's not something they're lining up to save. So there's a lot of little issues that are complicating everything.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right, if there's nothing else, move on to the next agenda item.
Very good.
Is there any?
No other public comment.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner presentations or information to be shared?
Let me just say this as a matter of protocol. When I spoke up at the beginning of the meeting and I gave my update report on the Zobel House, I recognize now that agenda item probably should have been here under number 9. And so if that helps us have smoother meetings, Annie, am I correct that I should have put it in number 9 instead of at the beginning?
Yeah, I think that might have been a little better. That's fine. I
Okay,
appreciate
well,
the
just trying
information.
to be as smooth as possible and coordinate for future opportunities.
Right.
So,
Yes, I think this
okay.
would be an appropriate
Thank
place.
you. Great.
Okay, is there anything else? All right, then written communications. Annie has a status report to make.
Oh, I have not received any written communications.
Okay. Very good. Then let's move on. And this is where we review the agenda items for our next meeting.
Yes, so our next meeting is on Monday, October 4th. And we will be setting the meeting schedule for 2022 at that meeting. And let's see, Barry will be reporting on the Zobel House. Is that right, Barry?
Yes.
Okay. And we are deferring Linda's discussion of goals, the goal format and approach to the October meeting. And Barry will be investigating available information on the Redmond House and reporting back regarding a timeline of preservation efforts. Is that right?
Well, I thought that's what they told me to take my time in doing. So I'll tell you what, let's put it on the agenda if I have it ready. You and I can work offline and we can make that an agenda item if I've gotten the information.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Possibly, depending on when the applicant is ready, we may be reviewing the application to regarding the sea breeze to remove it from the inventory and rezone the property. And that's what I have on the list.
Annie, I won't be here on the 4th of October.
Oh, okay.
Annie, could you add to the list an update on the training that we discussed earlier today?
Oh, yes, thank you. Right.
And in fact, I recognize that it's possible that you would be contacting us, that there could be a training available before the next meeting. And I would like to say that I'd be totally up for it.
Very good.
As would I.
I would like to add that we talk about the California Preservation Foundation's 2022 California Preservation Design Awards, and think about submitting the Apple Barn for consideration, and the deadline for applications is in June. So if we decide that we'd like to submit that or an application for any other property, we would need to have that done by June of next year. And if Annie can tell us what the procedure is, if it's something that we can help you with in filling out the application or whatever. But I'd like us to discuss about submitting the Apple Barn for consideration for the design award.
Yes, I can review the application and see what's required.
Okay. See if what we can find that would fit. It'd be nice to be able to submit something from Santa Cruz County and get some recognition. So any other topics from the commissioners to add to our agenda? All right, we have a public comment.
Yes. Go ahead and unmute yourself, pressing *6, and you can provide your comment at this time.
Hello, this is Becky Steinbrunner. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I would thank you for bringing up the idea of an award of some type coming from our county. I would also like to submit the Corral Readers preservation of the Silver Ranch barn in Corralitos. To me, that is stellar. She took on all of that herself at her own expense because of her love of historic preservation. The Apple Barn is also a good project, but that was done because, well, I'm glad that was done. But I think both are very good projects to submit for awards and recognition from our county. I also, again, ask that your commission put on the agenda the county's possibility of adopting the Mills Act and also a demolition by neglect ordinance. All of that work has been done for you and is on the record submitted by Commissioner Susie Miriam. And I am begging you to please take some action on it and move forward. I would also like a discussion by your commission about the merits of adding on the Burt Scott estate, which is currently owned by the county and is in complete neglect, and is very important in this county's history in terms of Granite Construction Company and Mr. Burt Scott's involvement in all that. He gave all of that property to the county. Scott Park on Freedom Boulevard is part of it, but up on Eagle Point at the top of the hill is his home. And it is in a complete state of neglect. County Parks is not doing anything to keep it going, and perhaps giving it some special recognition in terms of local historic, cultural significance would help encourage the county to put it up, to take it off of their deferred maintenance list where it has been for many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Okay. All right. Any other comments
No other
for our
public
next
comment.
meeting? Any other public comments to wrap this up? Okay. All right. We're at the end. I guess we're going to adjourn now. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll move.
Okay, the July 12th, 2021 meeting of the Historic Resources Commission is adjourned at 1:21. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Annie, and thank you, Natisha. Natisha, you were especially helpful today. Actually, it turned out to be the best meeting. I was able to see everybody across the bottom of the screen, and that was really nice.
That's
Yeah.
great. And thank you.
Yeah, and
Thank
Annie,
you.
thank you. We'll speak offline on some items.
Sounds
Pleasure
good.
to meet you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.